Hello.
Yep.
Well, we're going to start singing songs now. I think we should sing "Whenever, Wherever, We're Gonna Be Together."
Wow.
It's Shakira's birthday.
Oh, very great. I didn't know that.
I thought you were
There
going
you
to
go.
like make a
I think
really
you're-
cool Rafinha chant then with the
Yeah, I
Shakira song.
No,
I think you're on the wrong podcast, mate.
not that smart,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Never mind. We'll get one.
Welcome back to the Roaring Peacock podcast. We talk about Leeds United. My name's Adonis. You know me as at the Adelites on Twitter. It's a very good hello from me. Joining us today, making his debut, his first team debut, up from the reserves because we didn't make any January transfers. Antony from the Frantics.
Oh yeah, I'm in a band. Forgot.
Yeah,
right. I did that last time when I was supposed to promote the band. I was like, oh yeah, I'm not a Leeds fan today. I'm promoting the band. No. Now I'm just a Leeds fan, thankfully.
Right. And what's your Twitter handle?
I think it's Antony Carl Higgs, as far as I know.
There you go. If you can find him slinging some abuse on Twitter.
Yeah. I've been getting a lot in the last couple of days, that's for sure. I think everyone has arguing with each other over transfers and whatnot. So.
And the Prince of Darkness himself, the Machiavellian Big Mac at Ewan Metcalf. Ewan?
Evening, folks. Are we all right?
I'm fantastic, mate. I'm fantastic.
Good. How long's that dye going to last in your hair, really, though? Because it seems to have like just been there forever.
Well, you see, it washes out, you see.
Oh, so, right. You're not washing your hair for a while.
You know, if you never have a shower.
I was going to say. It's that European spirit, just having to wash every 3 days or something.
They're not allowed.
Or is that
I've been
French
looking
anyway?
at this footy scran. There you go. Picture of footy scran from Chorley. This is at footy scran on Twitter. There you go. That looks pretty good.
Yeah, I follow
Pie,
them.
peas, and gravy. But Bradford are doing something wrong, and this is why I wanted to bring it up. There is. Have you ever seen a more disgusting hot dog than that?
Dog's cock.
Look at that.
Yeah, it's not
That's
good, that, is
ridiculous.
it? How long is it?
Where's that? Bradford City.
Is that just
Doesn't
the angle of the
surprise
photograph, or is it about 40 foot long? Is that serving a full stand, that one? Just eat from one end to the other.
For anybody listening on the podcast, it's dried, shriveled, pathetic-looking hot dog. Probably the worst hot dog you've ever seen in your life. So there's another reason not to go to Bradford.
On Footy Scran, there is a worse hot dog than that, the white one. I can't remember where it is, but if you have a look at Footy Scran, there's a white hot dog with...
I think I've seen that. It looks like a fucking dead finger. Like, awful.
It's just horrible. It's just nothing appetizing about it at all. It's the only time I've ever wished one of them radiated pies from Ellen Road.
Yeah.
Came above that in the standings, yeah. Or the burger.
Makes it look like a la carte, doesn't it? Definitely.
Yeah, the 4-day-old burger that's still in the hot cupboard at Ellen Road looks even more attractive than that white hot dog. So yeah, give it a look and see. Let's have a look what you could have won.
Meal deal one isn't so bad, is it? After all,
I was just saying though, all of the non-league clubs, probably because they have to work hard, right, and keep people happy. The food at some of those places that I've seen, they've been amazing. Then you look at some of the Premier League clubs where people are paying a premium for the food, but to get in and for the showcase of the football as well. Some of them are just absolutely awful.
Well, I'm living in Wrexham now, and the pies at Wrexham are amazing. Like proper big, as in like short crust pastry pies, look unreal. To be fair, like Elland Road. To be fair, I like the chicken balti pie at Elland Road. That's only when it's like done. Like one day it can be like burnt charcoal, another day it can be like the best pie ever. But yeah, it is definitely better at non-league grounds.
Yeah, depends how many beers you've had before you consume that.
That's another thing, isn't it? Yeah. Oh God.
After you 4 beers in, it starts to become the greatest pie. Jeez, this pie is good. Fucking
That's
great
true,
pie,
yeah.
this one.
That's the thing with Ellen Road, though. It don't matter how many beers you have, you never say that. It's still shit. It's like, you know what I mean? You get it like, oh God. Oh, I really fancy a burger. I've had 8 pints. You get it, and you're like halfway through it, still chewing. Bin. Fuck that.
so bad, burgers at Landrad. Jeez. Like, it's just plastic in it. It's just like
rubbery, processed.
Anything that's like not needed part of the beef, or it might not even be beef. It might just be like anything that was just imported from a Chinese bloody meat market, probably. Absolutely disgusting.
Careful what you'll say. There'll be a big nuke heading towards Wrexham right now.
YouTube will take us down. Yeah.
God.
I knew we should have took that. I knew we should have took that Antony Higgs out with the bloody COVID. Look at him slagging the Chinese off.
COVID misinformation. Yeah,
we missed him. We missed him.
Oh, within 2 minutes, I've already set up war with Roaring Peacock podcast.
Right.
Don't worry, it's fine. It's a regular thing. That, don't worry.
We start getting random bizarre emails from the Chinese Communist Party of People's Republic of China.
Yeah,
it'll be one of them just visiting the church situations like the Russian spy in Salisbury. I'll be I'll be looking out this week, lads.
We came to see the cathedral.
Yeah.
Sure you did, mate.
Came to see Beeston Hill. Famous.
Yeah.
Sudden influx of the Chinese into Wrexham, just that worrying, mate.
Yeah.
Rightio, a few of your comments. Bandy saying, give us your blue screen. Bring in the debutant early. Colin Brooks, wonder what the colour of the bathroom is afterwards. I don't know if he's talking about my hair dye.
I think so.
or that Bradford, or that hot dog from Bradford.
Very different colours, to be honest.
Oh dear. Nora says, what the fuck, that hot dog? And Brian says, do you think Leeds will be all right with no signings? Are we relying heavily on the under-23s? Leeds forever MOT. Leeds! That's what this podcast is about. Signings. The transfer window just happened. In case you didn't know about it. I don't know about you, lads and gentlemen, and the lady in the chat, or ladies. But that was one of the most horrible experiences of my life, that January transfer window. That just scrolling through the social media feed and the WhatsApp group, and it's just people's anxieties and moaning and whinging ad nauseum.
Yeah, absolutely.
Pretty depressing. I've end of the day, you can't change it. It's out of your control. Yes, it's frustrating. I've said it before, and I hate to repeat myself because that's part of the annoyance in it. It's just people saying the same things over and over again. From January the 1st to January the 31st, the same comments on Twitter, WhatsApp, whatever. But I think that the disappointment for me was in the summer. I think that the strengthening, if you want to be part of a Bielsa team and contribute to a full season of Leeds United, you kind of have to be there early doors and get fit and get up to Bielsa sort of fitness and speed and pace and kind of ethos anyway. So anybody you bring in January, when they're going to be really ready, unless they're, shelf ready, like March, you've got a couple of months left. I'd like to think we'll be all right by then. So I think that the most disappointing thing is the club that's always back against the wall, up against everybody else. And then it shows that when it don't quite go our way or don't quite go the way we think, we all turn on each other, and that's shite. That I can't bear it. It's Twitter's not really a place to barometer or gauge anything, but it's been so poisonous on there and just so negative. And you kind of think, I'm pretty sure sports people, Leeds United players, management team, whatever, whether they read it or not, must get a sense of what people are saying. I think, thankfully, the people who go to games and the crowd that are in the stadium don't tend to portray or carry out that same mission of just being negative and kind of slagging people off. So hopefully it doesn't get through to them. But when I've just literally come off, hardly been on Twitter or even, like you say, muted WhatsApp groups because of this constant negativity, constant berating of Bielsa and a guy who's done so much for the club. Radrizzani, whether you love him or hate him, you can't dispute what he's done. Orta, I've had things to say about Kinnear before and Orta, but I'm pretty sure they're hard-working guys who've got the club's best interests at heart. And if that signings haven't come off, they haven't come off. Just get on with it. And I think I'm not Barney, but I'm not that positive. I'm not I'm not that deluded. I mean, positive. But
who looks at the table and thinks, there's 50 points there. There's 50 points left if we win every game now.
Exactly.
We can almost make the Champions League.
I'm not the other end of the scale either, where I think, possibly, and I've said it for ages, Donny, probably since game 5 or 6, that I just think things weren't quite right. We've not started the same. The football's not quite right. The fitness don't look there. So I do think we were going to be there or thereabouts this season, that we'd be around the bottom 6 or 7. I haven't changed my mind. I don't think signings would have made a massive influence on that either. So the injuries have killed us. We keep repeating that as well, but the injuries have absolutely savaged the spine of the team, really.
Yep. Antony, transfer window?
Yeah, I mean, it's just, obviously, it seems to be like, with everything, it's just like a war of one opinion versus another on Twitter. That's what Twitter's for anyway. So people just like to stick to their own agenda. Doesn't matter what opinions they're listening to. They're just going to stick to their own agenda and push it as much as they can. And it's just the stampede of trepidation and the words being thrown around like suicide. It's a catastrophe. It's like the club's going to die. Like, just get a grip, man. Jesus Christ. Like, I mean, I've only grown up watching Leeds in League One and in the Warnock era and stuff like that, and I just always think about being sat behind fucking goal when Rahubka drops that clanger against Blackpool and just seeing. I just consider life just like, why am I here? Like, this is awful. I think in the following transfer windows, we've signed Jimmy Kebe and Cameron Stewart, the Bibu, like players that we've been screaming to sign, and they've come in and like it's just like people just wanting a new toy to play with and then realizing how shit it can be. Once those players come through the door, most of the time, especially with Bielsa, so actually, would they even feature? Like, would they even feature? Or would it just be done to appease fans on Twitter? And I think the club have stood by their principles throughout this whole situation, and they've just taken the flak. And if they go ahead now and push on with players coming back injured, I think all will be forgotten. All this situation. And I understand. Obviously, I'd like a midfielder. Obviously, we need a midfielder. But that's just, if it's like what Bielsa said. If there's not something there that's going to take us to the next level for a decent price, then what you want to go sign John Swift, who's like, or Lewis O'Brien, who, what are they going to do? They're not going to feature. And Aronson's clearly, too expensive at this point in time. They've tried, and they'll probably bring him in the summer. But would he even feature at this point? You've got players coming back fit that Bielsa, they're going to come back in now, and they're going to, I know we can't seem to keep a fit team. It's just everyone's saying, oh, when players come back, they'll be fine. But I do understand that when to come back in, it seems to drop out all the time. And I would have liked some cover, but at the same time, the objective this year is stay up. It's just what it is. Stay up, and then
you make some really good points there. And same with Ewan as well. It's like when we got Augustine in. Ewan was saying, you were saying like a player will have to get up to speed. Well, there was no chance of Augustine getting up to speed, was there?
No.
Murderball, never mind Murderball. He struggled to get a beer from the fridge, like. And as far as you're saying, Antony, like John Swift or Lewis O'Brien or any of those players, if you think that they're getting in ahead of Roberts, I don't think you've been paying attention.
Exactly. I mean, Roberts could do anything, and it would just get ahead. Get ahead of them. It could have his feet up with a cigar at Bielsa ball sessions, and he'd probably get ahead of, just because Bielsa trusts him so much. I mean, it's not ideal, but yeah. I mean, if anyone
he was getting
going to
played ahead of Pablo Hernandez.
He was at the time, wasn't he? Yeah.
Crazy. Absolutely crazy.
Yeah, when Hernandez was going to take it around.
People are kind of saying, oh, well, the stubbornness of Bielsa is now starting to cost us. It's like, listen, you can't have it both ways. Football's a passionate sport. We all get annoyed. We all get disappointed in the heat of the moment. But 6 weeks later or 5 weeks later or a month into the transfer window, you're suddenly starting to say Bielsa's stubbornness is costing us. It's not like after the heat of a moment when you lose a game and you're angry and you blame people or whatever. It's like, you go in and talking about the murals around the city for him and all the things he's done for the ethos and the club and the youth system and, the whole identity of our football club and our team and the way we play football. And then the minute we have a little bit of a bad run, his stubbornness is costing. Well, his stubbornness is probably what's got us here. His stubbornness around the training ground, around the facilities, is what's made it better. His insistence to make that better and look at every single little, minutia of detail there and in the performances has made us what we are. You can't have it both ways. That's his personality. Accept it and love him, or don't fucking climb on the bandwagon when it's all going well. And then it's the old success has 1,000 fathers, failure has none. It's just it's bollocks, and that's what I don't like. And I'm probably, people could go back through my tweets and listen to a podcast and hear me have a bit of a rant about somebody. I'm usually pretty consistent, so I'll always give Tyler Roberts it because I don't get it, but I don't sort of twist and turn on people depending on what the results have been or whether they seem to be playing out my life for me. At the end of the day, it's our football club. What's the worst that'll happen? We get relegated back to the Championship. I might actually get a fucking season ticket. Better get back. Every cloud and that, you know what I mean? So listen, hopefully, I think we've got good enough to stay up. There'll be far worse than us, and we've got to, that will be a problem if we don't start to invest in the summer.
Yeah, I also think, like, just looking at the league table here, we're on 22 points after 21 games, and that's certainly mathematically enough to stay up. If the teams below us had more points, I'd be more worried. We'd be in more of a fight. Let's put it that way. But the teams above us have hardly any more points than we do anyway. We're 4 points off 10th, albeit they've got game in hands. But we've also got game in hands over three of the 3 sides above us. And Brentford, we've got 2 games on them. You know what I mean? So
I think Brentford are definitely catchable. They're in touching distance. I don't think there's any argument to say we won't finish above Brentford this year. I think with our obviously continuity of everything we know and the experience within the squad and the how everyone knows each other, and I suppose with Bielsa's methods of, we've talked about his stubbornness, but how many teams have we seen like go on a bad run, sack a manager, panic, trying to figure out a philosophy, and in the end that ends up screwing them in the end, and that plummets them down the table. It's not perfect, and we're going to lose games, and we know we've known that throughout Bielsa's tenure, but at the same time, it's going to get you enough. It's going to get you enough in the end to keep you at a stable position in the Premier League. You're going to win games and you're going to lose games. That's just how it is. And
to me, it felt so much worse. Sorry, it felt so much worse because we lost to Newcastle. Like, if we'd have won that game or even drawn,
exactly. Yeah,
or even played slightly better. The last few weeks, it wouldn't have been like that. It's like when you lose on Friday, your whole weekend's ruined. But we lost, and then there was like 2 weeks of no games. So it was just 2 full straight weeks of like utter meltdown.
Filling your time with negativity because there's nothing else to sort of turn you around. I think the other thing is, and I think Antony's alluded to it, that people have got short memories. I've watched Leeds since like the mid '80s, really, quite regularly. Early '80s, and fucking hell, it's been really bad. So let's not pretend that having a bit of a poor run in the top division in the world is the be all and end all. Because actually, I've watched us in League One get relegated from Championship. 80s sort of Division 1 or Division 2 then football was pretty grim. There wasn't much, the colour to it or kind of excitement. So there's been really bad times. I think people forget, and also forget that this kind of attitude to spending of let's go out and spend a fortune on a midfielder, even if we don't need him or if they're not proven, is exactly what Ridsdale used to do, and that's what got us fucking relegated and got us 16 years worth of Championship and League One football. So, you've got to have whether it is a young. People have commented in the chat. I've seen it about. Is it a younger generation? No, I don't think it is. I know people my age who was doing just the same. I think it's just a football fan, a fickleness of we've forgotten what really bad times look like. All we need to do, in truth, and I think we've got it in us. I've said it to you before, Donny. I look at games 3 or 4 games ahead and think, where are the points coming from? The way we're playing, West Ham, Leicester kind of made me think, well, you know what, we've got it in us. Yeah, I just think it's going to be like that all season. I look at 3 or 4 games in a row and think we'll beat West Ham, we'll draw against Newcastle, we'll beat somebody else we're supposed to not beat, and then we'll lose to somebody shite. You know, it's going to be that kind of season. You're just going to have to hold on tight and hang in there. But we're perfectly capable of putting a run like the end of last year, last 10 games or whatever it was, where we just completely smashed to bits any worry or anxiety around being in that bottom 3. But we just need to switch on and get some bodies back, don't we?
Yeah, the main indicator for me is that the performances are there. Like I've watched a lot of football this year, regrettably, because it's been great as it has. It's been a shit season. Let's be honest. Yeah, but I've watched those bottom 4 teams, and when you watch them play each other, it's even worse. It's just watching 2 toddlers fight over a lollipop. It's really shit. It's just so shit, and it just makes you appreciate the level of performance we're putting in. I know we're not getting the right results, and it's down to a number of factors. Obviously, injuries, not putting the ball in the fucking net, not having a Patrick Bamford, not having a strikers. We've had so many chances. That Newcastle game, we battered them. We did in the first half. It could have been 3-0 up, easy. And at half time, you're running away with it, and then just because the momentum was just stripped out of it by Newcastle shithousery, and then a shit free kick goes in, and then it's just bad luck. Like, that's not what I'm seeing from the bottom 4 teams. I'm just seeing rubbish football played by rubbish teams. And that, I don't feel that as a Leeds fan yet, that we're at that point. I just feel like even with bit part teams, that West Ham performance, at that point I was like, this team's staying up. How can this team has no right at all to go to West Ham, who are playing like they are, with players on top form, with a bit part team, and go and like school them like they did in attacking areas? I thought, for me, we'll win enough games to stay up. We'll lose games. We will lose games, but we'll win enough to stay up, definitely.
Yeah, the thing is, like, when it's good, it's often not as good as people make it out to be. And when it's bad, it's always not as bad as the doomsayers are saying. Right, some of your comments. Lee Smith, not sure anyone can question Orta's work ethic or love for Leeds. Lol. So glad I have no reason to waste 1 second on Twitter. I have no idea what toxic crap goes on there. That reminds me of Chappelle. I think Chappelle was saying that in one of his stand-ups. He's like, I don't care what happens on Twitter because it's not fucking real.
Yeah, it's bang on, isn't it?
Some people need to realise that.
Yeah. Bandy Fornoski, our injured players have had a little time to rest, so we don't really need bodies for the moment. Next season, however, we will need a few new players to cope it the way we should.
Yep, indeed.
Cop it. Lee Smith, Bielsa is missing the en gauche since the loss of Pablo. Jeez, keep these comments readable.
Come very European, haven't we? Come very European, haven't we? There's lots of very flamboyant vocabulary being used.
Right. Gotta love our fan base.
Yeah, I know.
Do you think the whiners are just the younger generation with no patience, waited 16 years to get back, got patience coming out of our asses? Haha, love that. Lee Smith says Nora, and yeah, look at the table. I'm not nervous, but I'm also a never-ending optimist. She is. Not as much as Barney.
Yeah, nobody's got as much optimism as Barney. That's why we balance each other out on this podcast, because I'm like the Prince of Darkness, and he's like the joy of spring, and he's like the Prince of Light. So yeah, it's a funny one. But yeah, it's, you know what, end of the day, we're all going to be there for these last few games, hoping that the boys get the points out way. And I think that the people talk about incomings. I do think, you look at, I hate to mention him on a Leeds United podcast, but you look at Ferguson. One of the things he did, as well as knowing a player that could fit into his sort of style and what have you, he knew when it was time to go, and he was quite brutal with it as well. I think about Mark Hughes and Ince, who'd, kind of served their time there and sort of bled for the team, but he proper cut them when it was time to go. The legs went a bit, or they were a bit slower, or they weren't quite at it for 10 games. It's like, right, he's going to end of the season. Let's get somebody else in who's younger and hungry. And I think there is probably half a dozen very good players who've helped us get to where we've got, who probably need. I'm not going to dig them out now, but there's probably people know who they are, who've been brilliant, but we probably need to look at, let's move them on while we probably get some money for them. I was saying to you this week about Chris Wood not writing in a kind of sell-on clause to him. We seem to do very naive things, and I think one of the naiveties with Leeds United is we hang on to players till they're almost worthless and then let them leave on a free, rather than thinking, there might be 5 or 6 players there that a Championship team or even a Premier League team might look at to bring in, who we can move on and invest that into bringing in somebody new, rather than having to find money from nowhere all the time.
We've got a lot of very young players and quite a lot of very old,
aging,
not very old, but like very old for footballers. You know what I mean? We don't have that many players that are coming into their prime, and you think about Phillips and Rafinha. That's the kind of age bracket that we need. We need more of those. We probably need 4 or 5 core players at that age, and then sprinkle a little bit of youth and sprinkle a little bit of experience in there. Ideally, they obviously cost the most money.
One area we can definitely make money and is very oversubscribed is the centre-back position, to be honest. I mean, like, that is where we're stacked, isn't it? And we've got quality there as well. And you wonder, I'm interested to see what the club do with all that lot, to be honest, because if anything is evidence to suggest anything, like, Bielsa will always go with his captain Cooper, and it's probably going to be Llorente, is it? Probably when everyone's fit, it's going to be those two. And how can you leave Pascal Struijk out? Like, he is one of the best defenders in the league. I mean, I wouldn't have said that if I was in the top end when we ended up drawing 3-3 with Cardiff City. I was wanting his head on a stick. I could not believe the transition that kid's made. Like, what a player. And he's probably, I mean, for me, he's got to start, Struijk. I mean, he just has to. He's our best defender, in my opinion. But Bielsa's probably going to go with Cooper Llorente. How long is he going to keep that going? Is he going to keep that going into next season? Like, he's going to want to, we're probably going to see some of these centre-backs be sold, maybe Struijk or Cog, and they're worth a lot of money. But then you want to be playing them so they can show their worth as well. So that's an interesting position for me when they're all fit, like what they're going to do with them. Because Bielsa might see Struijk more as a DM.
I do feel like he's quite ruthless at times, though. Look what I did with Pablo.
Yeah. I think the thing with Pablo, though, is Pablo showed, not in my opinion, bloody hell, I've played football. I could do dissent properly, but when he kind of walked off the pitch and showed dissatisfaction with being subbed, I think as long as you kind of conform and don't show those signs. I think Pablo suffered a lot from showing signs of frustration openly, as did Pontus. So I think if you do that, if you actually kind of put yourself before the team, I think you've got a massive problem.
Click,
for example.
Well, I think Click sort of didn't. I know he booted his jacket, and I know Bamford did it once, didn't he? He showed real sort of petulance when he got subbed once, but I think there's probably that kind of very overtly theatrical way of doing it, which looks dismissive about the decision the manager's making and the other teammate that's possibly coming on to replace you. So I think that there is that I'll play into it. I mean, listen, you can't for a minute sell Struijk. For me, he's the future. I think you've talked about a lad there, Cooper. I will not dig him out, but mention. For me, Cooper's served his time. He's been brilliant. I love the kid's attitude. I think
me too.
I remember I watched him at Chesterfield because he used to go. I knew a lad who was involved with Chesterfield. You watched him come and you thought, "Fucking hell, that's a leap of faith." And they had a caps. What do you call it? Like an add-on for the number of caps he'd get. And I think international caps as well. This guy was telling me that when Leeds bought him, they had all these add-ons, and I was like, "He's never going to fucking get to 100 caps. He's never going to play for Scotland." That lad has just, like Dallas, like others, as Ayling has just gone far and above, way beyond what you would have expected. But I think there's a time and a place to say, look, that's done. Struijk's the future. Llorente's, I would say, is probably better than Cooper. Koch, you kind of, it's like a choice between Koch and Cooper as to who goes for me. Koch's not really covered himself in glory for me. I think he's had brilliant games and he's been injured a lot, which is not helpful.
Yeah,
but
I've
he's also
not seen him enough yet.
Poor games. Yeah, poor games. Yeah, a bit like Llorente last season. When he's got that run of games, he was brilliant. Wasn't he? So, yeah, I think there's players like that you need to look at, not Strike. He's got to start for me next year.
Yeah, Koch played much better at centre back than in midfield for me.
Yeah,
thought he looked
me too.
Really good there.
International football is different to Premier League football. You can say what you want. He's played there for Germany. It's a different team and it's a completely different identity of football. So not wearing that.
And Strauch did such a good job on Antonio, your namesake, Antony. Mine actually as well. There you go.
There you go.
Mine's just the Greek version of your name. Okay. Let's get around to some of your chat then. Lee Smith, curious. Bielsa lives an 18-man squad. Add on 5 perpetually injured players. 23 would be better. Lots of managers like 23-man squads. Nora just gotten promoted last season, so I don't think you can expect to be always playing amazing and being in the top 6. And Lee Smith says, Nora, wash your mouth out. Of course, we should be top 6 by now.
What's that?
Is that bad?
It's just like
Lee Smith. Nicholas Griffin. I recently read a fan's opinion that Bielsa is destroying his club. Perhaps that fan wants Bates, Warnock, Chilino, or Hockaday back.
Oh my God! I know.
Wow.
Tell me about it. There's some accounts that are like purely out to just.
I don't think they're real.
I don't think they are. They can't be. Like just like when just putting like X's on top of faces of owners and Bielsa and stuff like as Twitter handles. I'm just like, what is this like?
That's people who honestly, that genuinely, there's about 6 or 7 accounts that genuinely think Chilino was the man and want him back. So, fucking hell, good luck with that one. I spend a lot of time in Naples, right, which is a fucking mad city, right? And whenever we talked about Chilino when we were there, when he was in charge of Leeds, they used to call him. They would like Pazzo, which means he's fucking crazy, and that's some of the craziest people in Europe talking. So Jesus Christ, tells you everything. The other good thing is, lads, let's positive note. How much is fucking Rafina going to be worth in summer? He keeps scoring amazing goals for Brazil, so we're going to be able to rebuild the right team. So by this rationale, by the time it gets around to the summer, if he decides to move, he might want to stay because then he's guaranteed his Brazil place for the World Cup. He's going to be worth about 120 mil.
Yeah, I think so too. And if you look at what Orta can do with that money, I'm not talking about like
put it up
Augustine or that for Chilino, that would be.
Yeah.
Be rubbing his hands.
God.
Dreams of Scarface.
I can't look at Orta without seeing Tony Montana or some sort of somebody, an extra out of what's he called, Escobar.
Yeah, Sopranos.
Oh dear. Let's get on to some of your chat. I don't believe we needed new players to stay up, says Nicholas Griffin. So I'm not too bothered by a quiet window. Lee Smith, we would be a few places higher if we can cut our injuries down to 4 or 5 players. How much do you think we're paying for Kiko and Costa wages? Derek Moore says, we mentioned the bricks of words, Kiko and Costa. Let's leave them in the past. Derek Moore, evening lads. Evening, Derek. And Lee Smith says, I think Koch has been playing better than Llorente. And Strauch Koch for me. Well, there you go.
Yeah.
I think you're making the wrong... Maybe the right request, but in the wrong place. So.
What are you doing? What are you in your private life? It's nothing to do with us, mate.
That's just strike fear into strikers, that, shouldn't it? Stroke Cock at the back.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Well, certainly freak him out, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
He says, got to go. See you, Lee. Brian, Phillips needs to be captain next season to show him he is very important to Leeds.
Well, yeah, I'm not sure how long he's going to carry on with Cooper, to be honest. Like, I mean, his defensive stats is like better than anyone's this year, which is weird enough. And I think Bielsa is he's fixated on stats, and he'll probably keep going on it until Cooper just retires. Like, I think he really loves him that much, which means he's also going to be captain. I do feel like he's going to keep that going. He's going to annoy a lot of fans. That's my prediction.
He may well do. He's nothing if not loyal, isn't he? If you can keep bringing on Tyler Roberts, can keep bringing on Tyler Roberts, you can definitely fucking keep playing Cooper, because Cooper's got nothing to be ashamed of, and he hasn't let anybody down. He hasn't let anybody down, has he?
If he's fit, he'll go straight back in for Villa. I know it. Like, if he's fit now, because I've seen pictures of him on training and stuff today. I think everyone has, but I'm not sure if they're ready or not.
I don't know why he gets so much abuse, to be honest. Like,
I don't like it. I think he's done well this year. I mean, obviously he's got the odd clanger in him, and that's why like everyone notices those odd moments of madness over his most of it. Like, on the whole, it's quite consistent, really. Whereas if it's from someone else, it goes under the carpet because he's missed a scapegoat like Roberts is, and that's just the way it is. And he's not the glamorous name either. He's not someone who's come in for millions of pounds in the Premier League. So therefore, you know, he's the past, and he's not a fancy new toy. That's it. That's just the reason why he gets his name in the mud all the time. But I mean, yeah, obviously he's not the future, but he's been our best defender on paper this year when he's been fit.
So, last season as well, scored very highly on all of those. I think it's whoscored.com or whatever it is.
Yeah. You know my view on stats, not fucking worth a jot.
Right.
But you know what? I think what it is with centre halves is it's a partnership thing, isn't it? So it's not about the individual; it's always about the two centre halves, how they operate together. And I think Cooper seems to be one of them that he does lead, so he gets whoever's with him. He's sort of commanding. I mean, Llorente is definitely doing it more now, but I think he he also controls like the fullbacks as well, Cooper, quite well. So I think it's definitely a kind of partnership leadership thing in that position, which is probably why Bielsa rates him so highly, because Cock's not that man. As I say, Llorente is getting better at it, and Struijk's not really very vocal. He's quiet, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
Silent assassin. Oh, speaking of stats.
Yeah.
I think we've got our stat man, Steve Wignall, Wiggy, Big Wig. Oh, not Big Wig. Wiggy is on. He's on now at the moment in the comments.
Oh, really? Is he? Wiggy?
Yeah, there he is.
Oh, here he is.
What if he's got a stat for us?
Wiggy has been promoted to our stat man.
I'll tell you what. He's on the ball. He's specific, and he's very. The stats he's coming out with, honestly, will blow your mind. It's
illuminating. Yeah,
illuminating, enlightening.
On the chat earlier, didn't he say that we've won 5 games this year? That's a stat I wouldn't have known that, to be honest.
Who knew?
Really?
Who
knew? There you go. You know, I've looked at it myself here. He's right. 5 wins.
It's unbelievable stuff. It really is. So yeah.
And we've drawn 7 and lost 9.
Fucking hell.
There you go.
He's visionary. He's a visionary.
Come on, Wiggy. Get this comment going. In the last game, we didn't score. There you go.
Fucking hell. Tell you what, mate. People on Sky better be fearful for their jobs, because Wiggy's like, he's breaking ground here. Breaking ground.
0 goals scored against Newcastle. There's the stat.
I love these stats, because these are the stats that matter. All this XG, fucking whatever, it's a load of bollocks. It's how many times did he put the ball in the back of the net? How many times did the opposition? That's what wins and loses football matches.
Right.
Yeah, I am sick of hearing the word XG a lot, like over the last couple of years, since it's just popped up, definitely. But I mean, it makes sense, because obviously, well, it doesn't, because everyone was going on about how like Brighton would have won the league last year if they did like converted their XG
shit
like that. But they were just shit. Like they're just not.
Yeah,
like,
right.
Neil Maupay is not consistent. Is a fucking shit striker, and that's just what it is. Like it doesn't matter if you create all the chances in the world. If you got shit players, you're not going to go anywhere, are you? So there you go.
Champions of XG, you'll never sing that. I'll show you how stupid XG is, right? Or maybe just misinformative, right? expected goals per 90. There you go. So that's an average. You got Bamford, top of our club at 0.63, so almost half a goal a game, and then Rafa with 0.37, so almost half of Bamford's expected goals. Then Joffy 0.31 and Tyler Roberts 0.27. So what I wanted to say was Robertson and Joffy very, very similar expected goals.
Yeah, how many games have both played?
Well, it's per 90 minutes, so it's averaged out. But what I wanted to say is, like, when you watch the game, when you actually watch it, it's very clear that Joffy makes his own chances a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And, Tyler gets into positions and then sort of, boots it into the cheese wedge or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I'm not having a go at Roberts. Or maybe I am.
Why not? I'm joking. Can't do it every week. I can't have a go at him every week. I think the thing, if we're doing an half-season review as well, I think the frustrating thing this year is you've looked at like the West Ham game and you've thought Newcastle next very winnable, right? We should win that. You lose. You look back through the season so far and you think, fucking hell, I'll tell you what, we nearly didn't beat Norwich. It was like just scraped through against Norwich. Watford wasn't a fucking easy game. We didn't make a great sort of bat of that. Then you look at games like Burnley early in the season, Newcastle away. They were very winnable games that we probably should have won. We had, we didn't get the decisions. Dan James should have probably had a penalty, which might have put us 2-0 up. There's just so many. It's a game of fine margins, isn't it? Like any professional sport, and I think that it has been that close at times where we've sort of been very close to getting a win or stealing a draw. You look at West Ham. Fucking hell, probably should have closed that game out. So, we're not far off our way, as much as I don't think we've played particularly brilliant, and I don't think we've reached the heights of what we did last year. We are that, like you were saying before, there's 4 or 5 teams I think play much worse football and are not creating those chances and don't look like they'll go and turn somebody over at 1 week. And I just think it's been millimetres away from getting the result we needed at times, and give us another sort of 6-7 points. We're not having the conversation about relegation, are we?
No, that's why Absolutely I think we'll stay up in the end.
We've been perfectly capable of getting 6 or 7 or 8 more points than we've got now, from not by being fantasist about it or saying, we should have beat Man U or we shouldn't have got drubbed 5-1, we should have got a draw there, but by saying Newcastle away, Burnley away, there's been games there where we should have quite, even last week at Newcastle, we should have been 2 or 3 up in the first 20 minutes. It's fine margins. That's the analysis of the first half of the season.
Yeah, I can say there's only been 4 games, I think, where we've been comprehensively the worst team, and that's Man United, Manchester City, Arsenal, and that Southampton game. 3 of those are in the top. 3 of those are in the top 6, in the big 6 per se, and then half of those games we're playing with 15-year-olds on the bench. So, it's not so bad going, really. All the other games have been competitive, really competitive, where it could have gone either way, most of them. And that's why that's a team that stays up when a team that is competitive in every single match.
Exactly right, Antony, and that's the difference in it when you think about Norwich and Watford. And Burnley, like, they've hardly ever been competitive. It's only on those rare occasions when they've turned up, usually against us.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what's going to happen to Newcastle now with all these lads coming in. I mean, I think I wasn't too astounded by Chris Wood. Trippier's a good signing. That Guimarães looks a good player, so that could be a big difference for them. And I don't know what's happened to that Dan Burn. He looks like gone a few years back. I think it was at Fulham. For some reason, he's turned into a flying left wing back. Like, I don't know what's happened to him, but I think they're the ones who could probably pull themselves out of the shit looking at on paper. But the other 3, I think they're just gone. To be honest, I don't think I'm not too worried. I mean, I'm saying that with confidence, but anything can happen. But I do think as a team we're ready and equipped to be able to win enough games to stay up with a nice points margin that's there already as well. So
we're better than Burnley. We're better than Watford. Newcastle with the new signings, it's debatable, but Harrison was all over Trippier, turned him inside out 4 or 5 times.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely skinned him.
Wood didn't look like looked like in the mood he got when, when he was like, oh, I don't think I want to play anymore. I'm gonna go to the Premier League. Like he was distracted. He didn't look like his best.
No.
Norwich, terrible. Everton have been woeful this season. Brentford, a few good results aside, and of course they had that momentum coming up from the Championship.
They'll be in trouble, I think.
Yeah, they will. They will, because they played 2 more games than us as well. So we'll finish above them as well. I don't know. I just don't see us being in trouble at all. And I'm pretty sure it's just anxiety, and that's fair enough. But
yeah, and you can't buy your way out of the position we're in. That's the point, isn't it? We have to get players back from injury and kind of pull together and rally for the last, whatever it is, 17 games of the season or whatever it is.
Yeah, 17.
You don't buy your way out of bottom 6 or 7. You kind of got to just keep going with what you've got, I guess. I think it's different for Newcastle. Everybody's going on about them. I haven't seen much of the Brazilian centre midfielder. I haven't seen much of the striker, but I'm not jealous of any of their signings. And to be honest, I'm not jealous of many others. I mean, people are on about Ali at Everton, and who else did they? They brought somebody else in, didn't they? Dele Alli and who was the other person they brought in?
Frank Lampard.
Not fucking him. I'm never jealous of him unless you're on about having a shit somewhere inappropriate.
That's what I was saying. I mean, people were writing that. Oh, look at what the other teams have done. Everton have changed their manager. It's like, you want Lampard? Do you?
No. He just talks. He just talks in cliches. Like, I don't. The one thing about Lampard is that I suppose he gets the respect of younger players and stuff like that, because it's just blind, it's Frank Lampard kind of thing. But in terms of tactical nous, I mean, fucking hell. Just
the thing is, Everton got that many.
Donny van der Beek.
Donny van der Beek, that's right. Everton haven't got that many young players. They haven't got that many young players from to influence. They're going to be. You've got people like Richarlison, who's a moody fucker anyway. I don't think he's going to respond to Lampard. It's going to be an interesting one, that. But yeah, you look at Van der Beek. Fair enough. People say, "Oh well, what about the player who was at Ajax? How long is it since he was at Ajax? He's done absolutely nothing in a poor Man United team. He's rarely got minutes. How long is it going to take him to get up to speed?" How much money is he going to be on? What's his wages going to be? People think you just turn up like Football Manager and pay a token amount to bring Van der Beek here. It's not like that. And all due respect, I'm not interested in Van der Beek. I wasn't interested in Dele Alli, because Dele Alli is another one that, his attitude right. Why is he not being pushing to get into that Tottenham side? Why have numerous managers come and not seen anything in him to put him into that team and start, or even be a sub most weeks? So. You don't want to be getting players like that. You want to be, fair enough. We've gone after Aronson and we didn't get him, but at least he's a player who's at the top form at his club. That's what you want, is somebody who's hungry and who's in form, who's actually sought after by other teams in Europe, and sought after, he's sort of doing well within his own team at a decent standard of football. I'm not really interested in a lot of. There was Chris Wood now, Byrne. There's a load of players knocking about, and you think, that's fortunes for players like that. I mean, they talk about this kid at Marseille. He's out of contract in 6 months, and they're on about paying 20 mil for him. Nobody's doing. Fucking who's going to do that?
Oh yeah, that was silly. Yeah, Kamara.
Yeah, I mean, he probably got him for 5 million about 6 months ago.
Yeah,
I think the thing with that one is that a lot of teams will be in for him, which is why teams obviously pay silly money in January to get ahead of those in the summer. But I don't think Kamara would have been a right fit anyway. We've got Phillips and Forshaw, like exactly the same sort of player, and they're coming back to it. We need something a bit further forward. Van der Beek, actually, I did watch a lot of Van der Beek when he was at Ajax, because obviously Dutch connections, I did go watch a lot of Ajax, and I loved Van der Beek. I said I'd love to see a player like that at Leeds because he is very expansive. When he was there, he was a brilliant footballer. I don't know what's happened at Man United. When they signed him, I thought, fucking hell, that's a really good signing. They just ruined him. I don't know what's. Honestly, he was a brilliant footballer.
That's where careers go to. That's where careers go to
It is.
die.
It's where it goes to die.
Yeah.
Look at what's happened with Sancho.
Yeah.
Another one. It's ridiculous, man. Like these are some of the top talents in Europe that they are just. Chelsea as well, I suppose, are just eating these players up for no reason. They don't even need them. They're just doing it for marketing spins, really. To get
Harry Maguire, Paul Pogba,
Salah.
There's
Kevin De Bruyne. Players that Chelsea had.
Yeah. and then got rid of. They've got a Champions League winning team they've had over the last 5 years and got rid of half of them. It's like, well, it don't always work out for you. The pressure, the price tag, the playing in front of 70,000 people every week. It doesn't always work for people, does it? So there's no guarantees with signings that they're going to come off. I mean, we've been fortunate that bar the odd one, Augustine being the obvious one, but we have had others that haven't worked out. But mostly our signings have been pretty good. Rafinha's obviously, like I say, going to whatever happens with him, I hope he stays for another season. But if he does go, you're going to turn a huge profit on him. The youth system that we're creating is going to bring players in at an absolute, for nothing really, and move on at a premium. So it's definitely the right model. And I just think you've got to sort of stick with your team, haven't you? And through thick or thin, the old marching on together. All the words in that song are about, through it all together and ups and downs. And it's not going to change. 90% of football fans' experience of watching and following their team is disappointment and frustration. It's only the elite one or two in each division that kind of get to celebrate winning cups and leagues and going into Europe and doing well. That's just get used to it. Fucking I'm 50 now. It's like I've been here for most of my life, bar 2 seasons, 3 seasons, 4 seasons, whatever, where, and I'm talking about at the top level, where, you've thought, we're part of it now. We've won a league, we've won the first division or the Premier League, we've won, we've got to a Champions League semi-final, Most of my greatest moments following Leeds are getting promoted from shit divisions, from the Championship or the old Division 1 or League 1, whatever. They've been my highlights, not particularly shining, those, whatever it was, 4 or 5 seasons in the top division, getting into Europe each year. They were amazing, but look what it did to us. We were living literally beyond our means, and it killed us, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yep. And this season, correct me if I'm wrong, but our biggest problem has been tinkering, has been personnel coming in and out, and Bielsa not knowing his strongest team, and players getting injured and having to be replaced. So you were talking about centre-back partnerships earlier, Ewan.
Yeah.
And it's something that cost us at the start of last season as well. But it's happened. It's been so much worse this year, especially as he's not really known who his best 11 are. And I'm not sure. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying Dan James isn't great, but he was another player. He was a player that was taking up maybe Harrison's position, and you can see that, because Bamford's been out, because we haven't had an attacking midfielder, he's been tinkering with James, with Harrison, and trying, and it's just disruptive of the lineup so much. He doesn't know what his best team is anymore, and I think rather than Dan James, could we have gone in for Aronson then, for example? Do you know what I mean? So I just think we just got really unlucky this season with injuries, and we've still played really well. And of course, the old things are against us: VAR, Lady Luck and whatever. Get the bloody, That's why Don Revie was so superstitious. It's because bad luck follows us around like the fucking Reaper or something. It's just weird. It's like part of being Leeds.
Yeah.
Anyway, I just don't think that any new signings would have helped that stability that we've needed all season. Just like stable, consistent lineup.
No, and I think the point there is brilliant, Donny. That's my frustration. But again, you can't. That's the Bielsa thing, isn't it? He's obsessive about things, and he's obsessed with Dan James. He was obsessed with him. I would much rather have brought in Aronson then, and a backup goalkeeper, because if anything happens to Melia, we truly are fucked.
Oh, we're fucked. We're recalling Kiko.
Yeah,
Kiko.
Oh, fucking hell. Or putting possibly one of the worst goalkeepers ever. Rahug Patu coming in at Clarkson at the under-23, and I don't want to give him it because he's a young lad, but I've seen him in under-23s a few times, and he don't fill me with confidence. So if I'd rather have brought in a very good backup goalkeeper.
Yeah,
an older, experienced backup goalkeeper. I know people talked about Begovic who went, and others through the summer that kind of moved on. I'd much rather have seen something like that. And bring in a midfielder like Aronson, but also a backup striker. If we're not going to trust Joffrey, we didn't know what Joffrey was going to be like in the summer. We definitely should have had a backup striker to Bamford, because whether he's not in form or whether he's injured, it's proven that we're playing a winger up front. And you are right, we've completely messed about with the kind of dynamics of the team, because he's not a striker. Cock's not a midfielder. We've said it before. Dallas, is he a midfielder? Is he a fullback? I'm not sure. He's kind of we've overdone that kind of utility man with him a bit, where I think he's starting to think, shit, what am I now? If you've got Rafinha and you've got Harrison on either wing, and then you've got Somerville waiting to come in, who apparently we want to be part of the team. Why are you bringing in a £25 million winger if it's not just for shits and giggles, or for the fact that you're obsessed?
Yeah, for the price it was at the time. Like, I should be really excited about a £25 million signing, but were any of you like really happy when he came in, or were you just like, it could go either way? This, like,
I think that's
we need a centre midfielder. We need a centre midfielder. Like,
he hasn't really impressed since going to Scum. Has it? I mean, he hasn't lit the world alight.
No, not at all.
I mean, and I get it. I get it. I know what he brings, and I know. And sort of in the West Ham game, you sort of seen Bielsa's brain fantasy coming together a little bit when you saw all three of them charging down West Ham's defence, interchanging like no tomorrow. West Ham didn't know what to do with us for large parts of that game, and you can see Bielsa that. That's Bielsa's wet dream in a way, and that's what he wants. That's what he wants to happen on a consistent basis. But in reality, the Premier League, how difficult it is with teams playing in different styles, especially those playing low blocks, which, let's be honest, most of the teams who play are playing in low blocks and trying to hit us on the counter attack, because it's easy for them to have us in front of them playing nowhere and hitting balls into the box aimlessly. And when we're doing that and Dan James is there, it's not, that for me has not worked at all on the whole.
What he does well, right, is bring the energy. Stop the opposition momentum.
That's what Bielsa wants.
Yeah, he gets back. Like, when we defend the large spaces, right? So we're always trying to own possession and push a team back. So it kind of adds to this idea of a low block. Like, a lot of teams do play a low block, and they did in the Championship against us as well. And it worked. Like, if you look at Wigan or QPR, for example. But it looks more like they're playing low block because of the way we play, and we defend in those big spaces. So that's why you need somebody like Dan James, and we love a tackle, and he puts them in, time and again. He goes in so hard for them. But the frustrating thing was, and the point that you've both made, is that he's not a striker, and that's what we needed. Bamford got injured. You couldn't have foreseen that. But if we'd have had a backup striker, it would have been perfect. Same thing with Meslier. If anything happens to Meslier, then I would really worry. I would really worry.
And for me, this is where the biggest failure of the club in terms of transfers has been Rodrigo. Like, he should be the one stepping in now and being the man. Like, he's a record signing, Spain international, who is just doesn't even get mentioned half of the time. Like, he's just some second thought. That shouldn't be Rodrigo. Rodrigo should be the man to fill that number 9 space when all these players aren't there. I know Rodrigo's had his own injury problems, but he's also had a chance to fill in when other players have been out, hence Bamford and others, and he's just gone missing. Like, it's been, I could count on one hand how many good games. I don't like to bash players, but I do fall into that, the price tag and the reputation, and if I mean, for me, Roberts is a young player that's come in for barely anything. He's still 22, 23 years old. He's got time to improve. Rodrigo's 31 years old, £30 million. He's just not done it at all. And then we're scapegoating everyone else and saying we need a new striker. And that's, for me, as a club, a failure by the club with that particular signing.
Well, it's just bizarre. He's not being played at 9. It's absolute. I know.
Yeah,
I know.
bizarre.
Bielsa gets an idea in his head, and he definitely overthinks things. And a lot of the time, he's right, and he knows more than anybody else about football. A lot of the time, but you do feel like he's got this one a bit wrong. Like,
if I had to read my tea leaves, I'd say he's not happy personally, Rodrigo. I'd say there's something not quite right with him off the pitch.
Yeah, me too.
I think sometimes when he comes on the pitch, I can see a proper footballer in there. He does some things that are just amazing. The way his movement,
glimpses of class. Yeah.
His movement behind the lines, his movement between lines, his movement behind people, where he runs. When he does get the ball, he's got a good touch. And like some of the passes against Newcastle, a couple with the outside of his right boot to Rafinha.
Yeah,
you can see a footballer in there, and that's my thing about Roberts. I don't see a footballer. He's 22. He's not getting any better now. I can see it, but I do think that's the problem. He shouldn't just be a backup to Bamford. He should probably be keeping Bamford on the bench to a point.
That's what we all thought when he came in. We thought he was replacing Bamford. That's what we thought he was doing.
He hasn't quite reached those. He hasn't quite reached those kind of hopes and aspirations, has he? But as I say, I think we've got to have a clear out. Maybe he's one that just hasn't worked out. We put it down to experience, and we get some money back for him. I'm sure somebody in Spain will take him. We wish the lad well, but we've got to start getting rid and bringing some money in to reinvest in younger, hungrier players that give them a chance. And unfortunately, Roberts is another one that for me, you've got to move him on. He hasn't done it. He's had plenty of chances. He's never turned the game around coming on as sub, and he's definitely not. He's not a starter. So,
did he sign a 5-year deal last summer?
Fuck knows.
Is it a 5-year deal?
4 or 5, I think. Yeah, 4 or 5.
5-year deal.
Jesus Christ!
Like you ain't making money on him this summer. Like he's got to stay. Like he's got to improve.
I think you send him out on loan, or you put him in the 23s, but he's not going to build confidence coming on with the 30 minutes to go to try and change games. Okay, some comments now. Wiggy's got a stat for us. Dallas can play keeper. I've checked my stats, and he's been in goal 3 times in training. There you go. That's hot off the press.
Insight. You don't get this kind of insight anywhere else.
No, that's true.
Wiggy the football analyst.
I can't get around to all of them. Nicholas Griffin. The thing with Coop's critics is they focus on his mistakes, but blatantly ignore others' mistakes. So that argument stands up. Nicholas Griffin again. Gelhardt is proper talent, like potentially Gaza or Rooney levels.
It does give you that low centre of gravity, aggressive sort of power shot sort of player that you get with Rooney and Gaza. Definitely, his personality on the pitch is infectious. Definitely, so I could see it.
Little chubby one.
Yeah.
I mean, long way to go and great heights to reach there.
Turns into half the player that Gascoigne was. I'll take that.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. Wiggy, when you think about Norwich and Watford, I just think they're shit.
Fair enough.
Moving on.
Simple and straight to the point there, Wig. And you can't disagree with him. Bandy. Nope. I tell you, Chris Wood won't score for the Barcodes this season. Brentford are going down. Nora says, after 2 years of pandemic, I understand that anxiety levels are high. Yeah.
Anxiety is always is just ingrained in us, isn't it, really?
The thing I wanted to say, though, is like, you know what? Nobody knows. No one knows. We might get relegated.
Yeah.
But if we do get relegated, will you have spent the previous 6 months whinging every day and moaning and complaining?
You at least want to have been at a point where you can like enjoy what you're watching and not spend the whole year moaning and then have a sad ending at the end of it. Like
you need to fill the void with something else in your life, people. You know what I mean?
That's another thing. Like honestly, people I've just unfollowed accounts on Twitter that put out 5 or 6, 7 tweets a day about like hounding the transfers. Like, I was like, fucking hell, these people work. Like, what are you doing?
I run two of my own businesses. I've got two very busy lads. I'm married. Got a house to run. Fucking hell, I ain't got time for it. You know what I mean? I've got far more stressful and personally anxious things in my life that I've got to keep afloat of than Leeds United. I mean, I do this podcast, which is fucking draining on my time and resources. I literally just rock up about 5 minutes before and chat shit for an hour. But yeah, no, I've got a lot of things in my life which cause me more anxiety and should do, because it's about keeping a roof above my head and making sure my children grow up happy and healthy. So Leeds United, unfortunately, whether this makes me a bad fan or not a super fan or not, comes a very poor I don't know, 5 or 6. And listen, every time they concede a goal, every time we get beat, it's like being stabbed in the heart. I fucking feel pure pain. But it's kind of I get over it. I go see my mates, have a couple of beers or have a glass of wine and have a curry or whatever, and I sit with my kids and we talk. We make each other laugh, and I've forgotten about it in an hour. But I just think some people, and bless them, maybe don't have that in their lives, and that's where they take out their bitterness, anxiety, frustration, whatever it might be. Yeah, exactly.
So this is the new levels for being a super fan. Then. How many times you've tweeted the owner per day?
Yeah.
During the January transfer, it used to be were you there at Histon away, and now it's oh, you only tagged Rads three times on Tuesday. Call yourself a super fan.
Yeah, it's
maybe they should all start a podcast, because this has been very cathartic, hasn't it? It's been a way of like expressing yourself. So I'm not wanting to create competition for us, because obviously we're best, but start a podcast or something, get it off your chest and talk to your mates.
Yeah, even if you're talking to literally nobody, just
on your own, talking into
space. Better aim towards a brick wall than it is towards my general scrolling on Twitter, because it's gonna
get it out. It's like a tricky shit, but it's better out than in. And you better have just get it out, right? Listen, talk about it. If you keep it bottled up, you'll fucking kill yourself. You'll make yourself poorly.
Exactly.
You got visions of your tomorrow morning?
No. Listen,
after eating a curry and having 2 beers.
Wednesday night, it's like proper beast behaviour, that, innit? I mean, having a curry on a Wednesday night, but I've got to confess, I always have a beer when I'm on podcast, because I feel we always started it out with that intention of it feeling like you're in pub. So I tried to get into that genuine, make it real. But having a curry on a Wednesday night is a bit like big time, innit? But it was left over, I've got to say, from Saturday from my favourite curry house. So it wasn't even like a cheap Sainsbury's micro one. It was a proper dirty, takeaway curry. It was ace. I fucking loved it.
That's proper Yorkshire. That is eating leftover curry on Wednesday from Saturday.
Nothing better, mate. I'll tell you what, it's better than the first time. It always ferments in the fridge a bit.
That's true. That
gets a bit spicier and a bit naughtier. And also, what we always do is we always put
the shits get trickier and trickier.
Yeah, we always put all the curries into one leftover carton. So you've got like a bit of Nawab Khan, a bit of garlic chili lamb, a bit of what was it? Chicken patil, Bengali patil. So they're all in one thing mixed, right? From a lovely curry house. Can I be allowed to shout out? Can I say that I get it from a lovely place called Bengal Brasserie in Oakwood on Roundy Road, right, which is brilliant. Go see my mate Shaheen, he'll look after you. Tell him I sent you. He's a beauty lad and he looks after me, right? But go there. Other curry houses are available, obviously. But do you know what? Fucking great. Wednesday night, leftover curry. I feel like a king.
I feel like this is Wayne Rooney's sort of speech to his Derby players on his first day.
I think I'd get more of a tune out of him, to be honest, talking about the curry.
Yeah.
Some of the new lads are like, is he going to start talking about football soon?
Yeah, no, just curries and grannies. Okay,
just 15 minutes of 15 minutes of curries and grannies. All right, lads, now go out there and win the second half.
Yeah. The Rug and Josh waiting for the guy who scores first.
Oh, Derby.
Yeah, Derby. Come on, we can't let another podcast week go past because we didn't do it last week.
Right.
Derby
being liquidated like what they left
What's everybody's view?
On the
happy?
Floor of the changing room.
Liquidated like Ewan's tricky poos.
Yeah. What's your views on it? I don't know what to feel about it really, but go on. Have anybody got any particular views on Derby?
I mean, you can only look at it from. I mean, we're football fans and we're very reactionary, and I suppose Derby's reactions to our general plight and general sort of, if any sort of unsuccessful thing, they would rub it in our faces, no tomorrow. So at the same time, it's a football club that's dying as a result of ridiculous systems in this current structure of football, which we've also been a part of that ourselves, and we can't, from a serious perspective, have any sort of aggressive feelings towards Derby County that way. But in terms of the fans, it's easy to be able to sort of feel quite smug about it. But then, yeah, I'm in two minds about it. I try to ignore it, to be honest. It's better to just blank them completely.
I think you have to at least consider or move towards a 50+1 model like they have in Germany.
Yeah, exactly.
Because the fans own the club, not the temporary owners. And, as much as it is very funny to laugh at Derby, and it is funny, Mel Morris is the one who should be punished. And Sean Harvey and the EFL should be punished because they didn't enforce the rules, the laws of the game, and they let Mel Morris get away with daylight robbery year on year, while hypocritically punishing clubs like us. But when it's all said and done, just throwing as many cliches as possible, it's the Derby fans that are going to suffer. And they already support Derby. That's what you've got to take into account. So
and
at this
live
point,
in Derby,
yeah,
they haven't got enough to deal with.
So it's kind of beyond cruel at this point. It's it's that meme of stop, he's already dead kind of thing, and that's even before they've already started.
Yeah.
They reached a peak as a club, when they beat us in the playoff semi-finals, and did shit in the changing room. That was their peak. So you have to feel sorry for them.
Yeah. And then constantly posting memes of Mel with everyone on strings and stuff like that. That's embarrassing, man.
Yeah. But it's a bit like our Twitter following. If you only ever judge Derby fans on what you see on Twitter, if you only ever judge Leeds fans on what you see on Twitter, you get a very skewed picture of what that fan base is like. I bet most Derby fans are finding the little knobs on Twitter that are doing the on strings thing. And no, we haven't broken the law. We've just been very clever accounting, all that bollocks. I'm like you. I'm literally split right down the middle. Football fan and the good side of me, says you shouldn't want a city's football team to go out of business and leave all those fans. And then the kind of bitter, horrible side of me, the dark side, keeps saying, fuck them. We're giving it to all kids in East Stand, you bastards walking out pitch, and giving it outside and giving it in a big one. And I've been to Derby a couple of times, and they have I won't go into detail, but I think the last time I threw a punch at a football match was at Derby when we just got relegated from. We played Derby first game of the season when we got relegated from the Premier League. Pretty sure. Long time ago now.
I think we played them last game of the season when we got relegated to League One. We lost 2-0.
No, it was Ipswich, wasn't it? But Ipswich was the game we got relegated by into League One. But I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that we played them when we got relegated from the Premier League. So whatever that season was, 2004-05.
Yeah, I didn't know they were in. I thought it were like Bolton or Charlton or something, wasn't it?
Definitely. I'm sure we played Derby first game in the Championship back when we got relegated. 8, so. Yeah, we're going to say. Quote me. I'm sure Fraser Richardson were playing. I've got a division in my head of them playing Derby. Anyway, whatever game it was definitely Derby, and it was around that time that. It's one of them in it where you just think they've been giving it big, and you worry. You think about Bury and Accrington Stanley and others that. did get really played and didn't revel in it and were kind of fighting against the owners and still went out of business. And, you know, it probably in communities that need the football club more than Derby to a point, you know, Accrington, Bury are kind of these, you know, small northwest circumference of the greater Manchester area. That's all they've got, you know, bless them. And they lost their club. So I won't feel I definitely won't feel sad. And in a way, I might Schadenfreude have a little giggle to myself if they do get a business. But then I just think, like you say, it's the owner that it's like a business owner, isn't it? You can tip your company up owing, you know, losing thousands of staff and owing thousands of people, hundreds of thousands of pounds, go bankrupt and start up again the next day as a different company name. So it's like everything's skewed towards the people who need it the most, losing out the most, and those that have probably enjoyed the most financial benefit and the high life, getting away with it time after time. And there's something not right with that. The 50-1 thing, like you say, in Germany is definitely the way to go, because it can't continue the way it is without a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah, and you've got to remember, like, we're called Leeds United for a reason. And, you know, when Leeds City was disbanded, it wasn't like there was, you know, huge protest from the other clubs. They all came to the auction to buy our players on the cheap.
Yeah.
You know, they were laughing to themselves, giggling away, running off with all our players. So you have to take it all with a bit of a pinch of salt. But anyway, I'd like to see Sean Harvey punished. I'd like to see Mel Morris punished. I think they're the people that I really hate, especially Sean Harvey did to us for so many years. Anyway, Brian L., any news on Rafinha limping off in the last Brazil game? And Bandy says, what about that question from Brian? So, yes.
Yeah.
82nd minute, he was limping off.
I saw something saying he's fine. It was a Brazilian news thing saying he, like, on Twitter, saying he was all right. Like, I don't know. Then I saw.
I don't know. You can't trust those Brazilians, though, Anthony.
Yeah, true. I think anything that he ain't gonna get injured from Brazil. He's gonna get injured when he comes back to Leeds, like stretching or something.
Yeah, fully.
That's how I look.
Getting off the plane.
So, yeah, exactly.
All I can find is he managed to leave the field, albeit with a limp. But
yeah, with one leg under his arm.
It's only a
That's all
flash
he needs. Yeah. I'll take a one-legged Rafinha.
Over Tyler Roberts any day. Exactly.
So he's only worth 60 million then. So that's all right.
Well, when people have been bidding 50 and 60 million for him, they've now got what they wanted because they've got his fucking left leg.
That must be what they meant. Yeah.
Exactly. I'm just looking it up now. My memory is still switched on. I've not got dementia yet. Leeds United, Derby County, Atland Road, 12:15 kickoff, 7th of August 2004. Ref Mark Clattenburg. Listen to this team: Neil Sullivan, Gary Kelly, Fraser Richardson. Thank you. Paul Butler, Michael Dewberry, Matt Kilgallen, Danny Pugh, Jermaine Wright. Fucking hell. Jermaine Wright, Simon Walton, Julian Joachim. I even forgot Julian Joachim had played for some Michael Ricketts. What a strike force, Joachim and Ricketts.
This is what you could have had, kids. Let you know, bit of perspective, guys.
On the bench, Lucas Radabit came on for Simon Walton in the 65th minute, and Brian Dean came on for Michael Ricketts in the 73rd minute. But I was right. That's the last time Derby County came out giving it the big one, right next to Billy Bremner statue where I was meeting my pal, and just an automatic reaction, really. If you come running up to me with fucking putting your face in front of me, I just did a quick jab and the rest's history. Good night. Dynamite, Gelignite. Good night.
Oh God. Yeah, I've had similar situation. Last time I threw a punch was when I was like 15 years old at Millwall away. Like,
it's not a good place to throw a punch. That
not a good place. Well, I was just defending myself because I spoke with a Yorkshire accent on that train you take from London Bridge to Millwall.
Yeah,
and they literally chased us all the way to that. All the way to the bit where the fans separate into the away bit and the home bit, and like I had to duck under a punch. Like, it was ridiculous. That there is like, as soon as they hear your accent, they're after you. Like, it's ridiculous, horrible.
The jungle out there. Jungle out there.
It is. It actually is like Prison Break or something when you're there, innit? They put you in a pen. Yeah, I'm happy in the Premier League. When thinking about our situation. Don't want to go back there again.
But that does bring a good point on injuries. So Forshaw should be back. Firpo should be back. Shackleton should be back. Charlie Creswell should be back. We've seen Cooper and Phillips in training, so shouldn't be too long. Probably end of February.
Yeah,
maybe even sooner.
Looks
Who
like
knows?
it's sooner. But...
And Bamford, no idea.
That's a weird one, that, isn't it?
Yeah, he's a weird one with his foot. Weird injury. I don't know what he's done. Where's he been putting it? So.
I don't know. It's probably pressing
he's...
too hard on those piano pedals or something, or
yeah, right.
Using his Victorian sewing machine too often.
He stood on a viola.
Yeah. Do they make tapestries with that foot weaving thing? Is that how they do it? I bet that's what he's been doing, making fucking tapestry making or something. That's how he'll have done his injury. Without a doubt. God. He might have gout from all the fucking pork and cheese.
Strict diet.
Yeah.
That's why it's called a tapestry, because you tap with it. You tap it with your foot.
Telling you.
Real knowledge.
Right. This is, you won't get this anywhere else.
Yeah. So I heard it in the Bingley Arms. He's just moved into a house opposite the pub I go in, the Bingley Arms, which is like my local. And yeah, so I've heard it in the Bingley Arms. People have been telling me it's his tapestry. He's got a tapestry making injury.
I do like the fact that it took us an hour and 20 minutes to get to injury news.
I blame Antony. He's a distraction. He's on his debut. He's been a distraction. Me and Donny are usually on it.
Spent 20 minutes talking about Curry.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, that's true. It's definitely me that's the distraction. Don't worry, mate.
I don't mind talking about Curry.
Nobody wants to talk about football for an hour and 20 minutes. For God's sake, you've got to have a bit of variation in there.
No, not with the season we've had.
Middle of bloody international break after losing
to
Newcastle.
Here we go. We found out what happened to Bamford's foot. Here we go. Bandy. Lord Bamford had his foot in Paul Scholes' mouth. There you
go. Right his toenails.
Yeah. That's why Bielsa was so puzzled.
Yeah.
Something's happened with Patrick's foot.
He's gone and hit the ball into Bielsa's face again. And he's just finally lost it, Bielsa, didn't he?
Yeah.
Frog splashed him.
I think Nora's hinted. She's not, because she can't talk to you directly. She's now putting it in the chat. I am starving, hungry.
Right. Yeah. There you go.
Hurry up.
Wind it up. Wind it up.
Yeah.
Wind it up.
Come on.
Right here. Final thoughts then, gentlemen.
I think Rafinha needs a chant. Why doesn't he have a chant yet?
Because we know he's going in the summer.
Yeah.
It's true, isn't it? Is that why? He's he's just passing through. Because I don't know. I go to games these days, and you go to any club, they'll have a song for their best player, and don't seem to be able to have one for him.
It's a brilliant point. It's an absolutely brilliant point. You know what it is? It's a bit like Jamie Jones Buchanan, the Leeds Rhinos legend, right? He when he first started playing, he didn't have a song for ages. Everybody else had a song. He didn't have a song. And he must have mentioned it in one fans forum once. And he eventually got the song. What is it? Jamie Jones. His name's too long. He's got no song. Jamie Jones. And I think it's the same. I think Rafinha's name. There's no. What can you rhyme with Rafinha?
Well, I'd be going the Yeboah chant, wouldn't you? Rafinha.
The other thing that's a brilliant. The other thing I was going to say on that point though is we're not creative enough anymore.
No, we're not.
Unless it fits.
Nowhere near as we used to be. One of my favourite ones was in League One where Trezor Candle was there. That Brazilian his skillful cunt song was brilliant. Just stuff like that. We just used to bring out of nowhere.
No, but there's no creativity anymore. All they do is if you've got a tune for a song like the Samuel Saiz tune, we've got Saiz. Every single team has fitted a player's name into that song for their club. There's other ones, that there's certain popularist ones like Sweet Caroline or whatever that suddenly the song comes out that's reflecting that. We've got no imagination anymore. We killed it because, like you say, I mean, Healy, the David Healy song at Christmas used to sing, the stars in the night sky look down where he lay. Absolutely brilliant.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
I forgot about that one.
To Away in a Manger, absolutely brilliant. Liverpool, we used to play Liverpool. We've got Don Matteo, you've got our stereos, and then Phil Thompson stood up, carrying on with his massive nose, and everybody started singing, "Sit down, Pinocchio, sit down, Pinocchio, sit down." So we just lost that ability in the heat of the moment to be able to come up with a song and everybody kind of follow it. And that creativity is definitely gone from football chants. I'm telling you now, it used to be like, you'd hear a new chant nearly every other week, and you were like, "Where's that come from?"
Something happened with COVID though. Like, people are less inclined to want to chant, and like, unless it's like the exact same song over and over again. Like, I go to games now, it's just not the same. Like, it's just like a random sputter of "We All Love Leeds" for about 5 minutes, and then nothing.
Yeah, that Champions
of
Europe song.
Follow song, which seemed to have caught on somehow.
Fucking hate that.
Now it's like a bit, I don't know. It makes it a bit cringe. I don't know. Like,
Jimmy Savile always gets a number.
Yeah,
or two.
He does.
Oh God, every game.
Yeah. Well, I was in the South Stand for the Newcastle game. Believe me, they're not shy of a chant. It was absolutely bouncing. Pretty much until Tyler Roberts came on, it was absolutely bouncing. They were all chanting away. But I think the thing is as well, a lot of the older lads, the people who started the chants and had that sense of humour, if you want to call it that kind of gallows humour. It was all the older lot that used to do it, and then the young ones would follow. I don't think, like, a lot of older lads I know don't even go anymore. They can't get a ticket. They've been excluded from it because of the pricing, whatever. There's not that kind of older generation with the confidence to suddenly start a song like they used to be back in the day. So a lot of the younger ones don't feel probably confident enough to do it. It used to be a thing when you were kids. You were like, I started a chant. It was a big thing. You were in the cop, and there was all these big oogies chanting, and you like just followed, and then you'd suddenly do a "Why are it?" and everybody joined you like, I fucking started a chant in the cop on Saturday. Fucking hell!
I'm definitely in that circle. Definitely in that circle of people who've done that before. I used to sit in the cop, like, it used to just be singing non-stop for 90 minutes because we were shit on the field, and it didn't matter. Like, 90 minutes, you were just supporting the team. And now it's just like, when we go behind, it's just silence. Like, apart from sputters, like against Wolves in the last 10 minutes, where we seem to have some belief, like
when Joffrey came on
again.
Yeah.
And like Arsenal, I think our backs were so up against the wall with injuries that the fans at that point were at the point I'm talking about now. We're in the Championship, where it's like, we know it's going to be shit. All we have is the support. Like, it seemed to be a bit more ramped up then as well. But again, like you say, it's just the lack of creativity. I think there's just I think the younger generations fill that South Stand, that singing section. It's just full of teenagers and young lads in there nowadays. And I think whatever they're gonna sing, people are gonna follow on, because they're that's where you start chants. You start chanting big groups of lads, don't you? Basically, because you need to get it going.
And if you don't, confidence surrounded by people that are going to join in yet.
I've tried like a couple of times this year, but I've been like on my own because I can't get tickets with anyone. So I've just been like, okay, that's awkward. Like, you need to be in a big group of lads to get it going, but then you're just gonna sing whatever you're gonna, be able to actually sing. And Leeds fans are very sort of limited in what they can fucking do, to be honest. 3 word chants, that's it.
Need to get it back. Rafinha, any song? You talk about Rafinha, Dallas. He's been here ages. He hasn't got a song.
Dallas, like, why?
They're singing. There's only one Stuart Dallas now, aren't there?
Oh yeah, that's true.
I know, but that's not right. You need a proper individual song, like the Jamie Jones one, or Dallas has got to have ways you can manipulate that into a pop song. Or I tried to write one about Pablo Hernandez, which was to the ABBA song. Was it Fernando?
Oh yeah.
I won't even do it now. I'll have to I'll do it for another time because I've forgotten the wording. But I thought it was fucking brilliant, and I mentioned it to a few people.
That Berra song was great. That Berra chant.
Yeah.
I did one. Oh, Voulez-Vous, that was a good one. I did one for Dallas. I did one for Dallas after the City game. He plays on the left. He plays on the right. Leeds born Stuart Dallas made City look shite. I did that, I tried it again. No one fucking followed it. I was like, that's a good catch. That's all right, isn't it? Ah, no, didn't catch on.
I'm off to watch Pablo Hernandez play for Castellon. Oh, hello.
Oh, he's run out of internet.
Yeah, he's
put another
Welsh internet only lasts for an hour and a half. He's back up.
Put another 10p in the Wi-Fi.
In the meter.
Anthony.
Yeah, I'm off to watch Pablo Hernandez play at Castellon in May, beginning of May. And I'm going to roll out my fucking Pablo song in the middle of Spain where nobody else can speak English. So it'll just be me and our kids singing it. But I'll let you in on that
one. Pontus Janssen and Barade. Hey, that was a good one.
Yeah. There's loads of good ones. There is the odd creative one, but it's not consistent enough, is it?
No, right. Is that it?
Yeah, I think final thoughts. We've all had a go on chance, haven't we? That'll do. My final thought is it's about time we knocked it on the head and I went to get my kids to bed.
Yep, same. I don't have any kids, but I'm
You're stealing kids?
Gonna eat something. Anthony's gone. He's run out of battery. There you go. Oh, he's back, is he? He's listening to that.
Can you see me?
Yep.
Yeah.
I just had to run to other room because I didn't realise there was no back left on fucking.
You look like you're in a microwave, or the camera's in a microwave.
I had to like run it. It probably looks like a right mess, doesn't it now?
No,
so do you actually? You lads both look like you've both portraited versions of yourself for some reason.
I am. I've not been here all night. It's just a portrait of me sat in front of the screen. Probably get more out of it.
Right. If you enjoyed that podcast, why not hit a like and listen to all our other podcasts ad nauseum?
Yeah, do it. It's brilliant. Go through the back catalogue. Great.
Yeah. Is that it? Right.
Yeah, man.
We'll see
Let's
you
go.
soon.
See you later. Adios.
For Villa. Come on, Leeds.
I'm going down. Hopefully we get something. I mean, I don't want to spend time in Birmingham without having something to shout about. So
no, it's a fucking grim day out.
No one wants to be there.
I've never been to Villa Park, but I was ground.
We're saying goodbye now, Anthony. You're talking.
I know, but I ran out of battery, so I get another 5 minutes.
Yeah, we'll leave you to get on with it, mate.